Well, crawling out of my garbage can once again, back with some more technical analysis on good old Bitcoin, and we have plenty to talk about today as we have the new monthly closure and all sorts of things going on the weekend, which is typically a boring time, but actually Bitcoin testing a bit of range right now. So with that said, I would like to wish you the best and the haps as always, because why the hell not, man? It's free to do, and hopefully can help a little bit, especially all things considered over the last few weeks. Anyways, with that said, we're going to be doing something a little more streamlined today. You know, I'm feeling that I want to put something out there that's relatively easy to understand, easy to follow up on, doesn't take all that much, and we can talk about what to look for in a major low on Bitcoin, potentially even getting the next the next major turn on this one. Now, with that said, I'm gonna spoil the surprise right now. None of them have actually happened, so there you go. Anyways, as we get into it right now, or actually perhaps one has actually happened as of today. We'll see once we get into the charts. But with that said, let's get into the Krown trading application, which can be found at app.currency.net. It is 100% free, and the link is in the description below. We also have a sale going on. I will actually be talking about that at the end of this video. Don't want to bore you with that details right now. And let's just get into it, baby. We got Bitcoin dominance popping up a little bit as Bitcoin more or less ranges. Yes, we did test the bottom side of yesterday's range at about 35,000 bucks, which we did say was likely the couple days before. Now, how does that line up with things? Well, I mean, it's still more or less a range, to be quite honest with you. A little bit of boringness going on right here. Fear and greed index still in the very fearful zone, obviously, as it is in 18. We did see it take up all the way to about a 27 on Bitcoin's failed attempt above about 40,000 bucks a couple days ago. But overall, you know, this is a little bit of a signature saying, hey, you know, while things are not necessarily looking like the fucking picture of health and fitness right now, it is still, from a market dynamics standpoint, you know, a little bit more on the fearful side, which does imply that, you know, typically around these times you want to be defensive of bounces, perhaps we might say. Anyways, looking at the open interest, we actually do see it heading up a little bit from yesterday to today as well. This is the first time we've actually seen it climb above about 5.5 billion, really since this dump started getting into, you know, the below $40,000 territory a couple of weeks ago. So with that in mind, this is coming within the context of Bitcoin actually moving to the downside of the bottom of this range. There's no breakages, to be fair, but we do start to see a little bit of concerning signals right here if you are looking at it from that metric. Anyways, top 10 best coins, top 10 worst coins. We got Zcash. What the fuck, Zcash? That thing's still alive. It's actually up 25%. Not bad. Monero, Horizon, Dash, Celsius, MDEX. What the fuck is that? Decred. Hey, Decred's still around. Nice one. EOS and Paxos. I mean, all of these are like 2016, 2017 shitcoins. Monero actually still hanging in there. Hey, not bad. Not bad, Monero. Anyways, on the top 10 worst coins, looks like we got all the Thetas, Engine Coin, Talcoin, Thorchain, Harmony, Hollow, Swiss Borg, and Nexo. All the kind of bigger winners, I suppose, over the last week, if you can call them that. Anyways, into the market data tab we go. Let's see what we got going on over here. And what do we see? Okay, so we see a little bit more of potential bottoming action on the line chart. I'd say this is certainly very much unconfirmed right now. And again, as always, the trend is your friend. And if we are looking at this from a line chart perspective, well, we are very much in a very hefty downtrend right now. So there's no reversing this anytime soon, or at least if we are looking at this on a daily, which this is actually not being made on a daily right here. But where would our last high be? About, well, well, should I say it? About 58,000 to 59,000 bucks right here. Whereas our current low on a closing basis is right around about just under 35,000 bucks, it looks like. So ultimately, until Bitcoin puts in a higher high and a higher low, we have a downtrend on the daily, and it would be very much to your detriment in my experience, or at least in my experience, I can say it was very much to my detriment looking for reversals, you know, on the greater scale before even seeing it on the daily. And right now, we don't even have, well, we really don't have a whole lot of puzzle pieces in place just yet. Anyways, moving on down here, we do see that the funny rate is actually still printing negative on a couple exchanges. Not anything too major to consider. It's not like we saw it a few days ago, or actually really the majority of this past week, where we did see several exchanges on the significantly negative side of things, while Bitcoin was essentially around the lows. That was a good signal for the bounce up there to almost like what, 41,000, 42,000 bucks. But right now, this is kind of coming into parity here. So I look at this as pretty much inconsequential, still favoring a little bit maybe of, you know, of a short-term bounce. Perhaps that's exactly what we're getting right now, as Bitcoin did test, it actually just tested right above 37,000 bucks. So definitely not, definitely within the context of that. It's not anything too crazy to be looking at, to be quite honest with you, though. These things are like secondary to what we're going to be looking at and talking about on the greater scale soon enough. But before we do that, I do want to look at the put call market over here. I'm just curious what we're doing right now. Okay, this is looking a little more healthy now. So we did see the big expiration yesterday. Meaning the June 28th, or sorry, not the June, but the May regulars expiring on Friday. And now we get to let go of this stupid, it's very, very, sorry, it's not, I shouldn't call people stupid, but very immature and lazy explanation of Max Payne. I mean, this is just such silliness in the way that people look at this. I can't actually. I just fucking said I can't, like a goddamn iPad and Uggs wielding young teen drinking a cup of Starbucks, which is kind of sad. Anyways, now the June regulars are getting played significantly right here. We can see major interest on these, and which strikes are getting played right now: 35, 37, 39. Puts are getting played on the 35 and 37, and the 39 getting played for the call side. Again, we don't really see anything that's like massively massively overshadowing anything else. Yes, this is around about 240 open interest right here. I don't look at that as anything like too crazy to be quite honest with you, but overall I want to keep on monitoring this as the time goes onwards and forwards. I'd essentially be looking for a range coming into this next month of June. By the way, we do have the June closure as well, so that's gonna be a big topic of conversation today. All right, so let's get into it right now. Let's start off with the fun stuff. Okay, so here are the three easy ways. Yeah, let's get our fucking YouTube O face on right now. The three easy ways to tell if and when Bitcoin has bottomed. If I don't see any of these three things, there will be no bottom calls for me at all whatsoever. Yes, I do think that there's some good signs going on potentially. However, at the end of the day, these are just three very easy signals, albeit there are plenty more, but we won't be going over that in this video today. I don't want to bore the non-TA nerds out there right now. We can maybe do that tomorrow for a long-term analysis video. But as it stands right now, we have, I don't believe any of them going on. So there's the three big ones are trend always first, volatility, big one as well, and then of course a fundamentally based indicator, and then we could even count in a momentum indicator as well, but I think I'll leave that out for today. And what we'll start off today with is the fundamental indicator, the hash ribbons right here. Until we print a blue buy signal on this, I just do not interpret any price action on Bitcoin as threatening a major upside move, we'll call it. Now we can go back and test a few of these. I won't go through the full rigmarole on this one. You can definitely check out the long-term analysis playlist from last week that I uploaded, I think on Saturday or Sunday. I go through a shit ton of examples right there, and that is still very much relevant, but we'll go through just a couple examples right here so you can get a kind of an idea of how it works. And what we typically see is a capitulation signal right here. We can go through this last, oh god damn it. Let's go to auto scale. There we go. We can go through this last example over here. This was actually when Bitcoin was consolidating right below the $20,000 high before breaking out in December, or October, November, December, to new all-time highs essentially. That gave you the capitulation signal right there. Obviously, these are not like full-on sell signals. In fact, if you actually backtest, they're terrible timers of sell signals. What I want to show you though is how I look at it for potential major continuation. Then we get the buy signal over here. So keep in mind the dates of these. This was 28th of October, the capitulation signal. The buy signal over here was 1st of December. So that's about a little bit over a month, like a month and a half, we might say. And that was right here actually on, again, the 1st of December, which was when Bitcoin was hovering right around 18,000 bucks or 18,500 bucks. Eventually, it actually did dump down. Now, it did put in a higher low right here on the daily, obviously, but it really wasn't until December 14th to 15th where it really started going again and actually trending to the upside in this case. So I just want to, kind of put that in perspective. That means, we could be doing a little bit of waiting even after giving that signal. And keep in mind, we have not even gotten the blue buy signal just yet. Let's go through two more examples and then I can just hand it off to the last week's video. We can look at this one right here. Capitulation signal on the 23rd of May, Bitcoin going sideways AF. In fact, this would actually be really great to look at right now. And this one actually relatively similar to what we're looking at right now too. After a major dump right here and then trade sideways as all hell, and you get the blue buy signal like way the fuck back on out over here. And this one took from 23rd of May all the way to 11th of July. Let me see. Okay, so May, I don't know my months. God damn it, man. We're in May right now. So May, June, July. So almost 2 months, it looks like. And keep in mind, this happened on the 11th of July. And when does price action get moving? About 21st, 22nd of July. So almost a couple weeks after that as well. So it takes some time is what I want to say. And then this one over here, after the big mega dump for coronavirus dump times in March 2020, you got the capitulation signal. Again, terrible timer, absolutely terrible timer if you're looking at that as a short signal right here. That gave it to you right around 17th of March. So the low was certainly already in. And then where's your blue buy signal? It's way the fuck out on over here on the 23rd of April. So again, 17th of March. So March to April. So March, April. So about a little bit over a month right there, about a month and a couple weeks. And then from that blue buy signal to the next move on the 23rd of April to the 28th of April, about 5 days it looks like. So I'll let you go through the past iterations on your own time if you so desire, or you can just check out the last week's video because we go through pretty much all of them in that one. And yes, there actually are a few failed ones there too. So I should warn you on that. It's certainly not perfect, but until we get that blue buy signal, more importantly, we have never really seen a macro reversal or a major reversal until we actually get that, in these sort of, for the blue laws, hopefully a consolidation phase right here. How about that? Yeah. Anyways, put it in perspective right now, though, we did get the capitulation signal on the 23rd of April, and now we are on the 29th of May. So technically speaking, if you are looking at this from a historical narrative, then we're getting pretty close to around that like month to a month and a half. Obviously, it's a little bit past a month now. So maybe, maybe mid to late June, we might actually see a full-on blue buy signal if it does kind of play well with the past historical signals. But until we get that blue buy signal, there's no talk in my mind at all whatsoever of looking at Bitcoin in like a major reversal posture. I can give you all sorts of reasons why right now is a good time to be paying attention. But until we get that is a big bias buster right there, just in general. All right, the next one is going to be the BBWP over here, of which, we are starting to maybe get this one. It's not there just yet. It's certainly not there just yet, but BBWP is a free indicator. Caretaker made it. It's basically a percentile on the BBWs, which are not the same that you find on XXX tube or RedTube. We're talking about the Bollinger Band Width tool right here. And what it essentially measures, it's a volatility based indicator. And I really, really love these sorts of indicators for kind of judging major extremes, both to the upside and the downside. It works a little bit more precisely to the downside in my experience, just because things typically, things just typically tend to work out that way. But overall right here, just like a weird thing, like mean reversion typically does actually work like faster if things hit like, aggressive areas on the downside, just as like a general rule, not always, but in general. Anyways, looking at this right here, we did hit 100 percentile. So to put this in perspective, within the context of the look back period, which I have set at 252, which I would suggest is probably the best way to be looking at it, then this is the highest volatility that we have seen within that time frame. Anyways, and we actually hit it twice, by the way. We hit it twice. So what am I looking for now? Well, let's compare it with the last major low that Bitcoin put in. Obviously, again, this is direction neutral. We did see a couple signals on the upside in this past rally, as things did get rather aggressive there. But let's bring it back to the last major dump signal that we got from this, and that was way the fuck back on over here in March 2020. Once again, coronavirus dump times, as you might know. And what did we do? We hit 100 percentile quite literally on that major, massive 10,000, 50%, or it wasn't 10,000, but 50% downside move on the 12th of March and leading into 13th of March. And it stayed there for a little bit of time. Now, just getting to 100 percentile is like your warning signal. It's like, okay, look, we're at extremes right now. It's time to be looking for potentially some bottoming signals. But that's not it in and of itself. We need to combine it with a couple other things, which, we just spoke about a fundamental indicator, but even within the context of this indicator, we can look at some pretty interesting things as well. What I want to see right here is I want to see something similar to this, where you see this moving average on it. And I think I'm just running like a 15 or 16 period. Let's see. I'm running a 16 period, and I spent a lot of time actually testing this one. I actually might throw in an exponential as well, just because I think it might be better. But as far as SMAs goes, this was the best for the purposes that I'm trying to identify right now. Anyway, so what I want to see next is I want to see the moving average on it get a negative slope. Once it gets a negative slope, and then we see the volatility come all the way back down, preferably to like the teens, or especially the low digits, or low single digits, or maybe even zero, as we saw back on over here. That's where I really start to look for mega fucking runs. Now, let's put this in context right now. So, couple things now, and we're actually gonna interlace this with the third and final and most important point as well for looking for a major reversal right here. And it would be this: once it crosses that moving average and it gets a negative slope, that's actually when Bitcoin put in its first higher low right here, right fucking here, right around $5,900. And in hindsight, that would have been a phenomenal trade. Gets a negative, it crosses right there, gets a negative slope. Yeah, literally on that tick. I like that a lot. I really do like that a lot, because that obviously plays into the trend narrative of this. We do not have a higher low just yet. Could Bitcoin be working on one? Could be, yes, but it is certainly not in the price action as it stands right now. Let me just make sure that I'm recording, that my phone's working. Hey, we're doing a good job today. Okay, this is great. This is fucking great. We're gonna need some more O faces for this one, bitch. Anyway, sorry, I don't know where that came from. Sorry about that. Anyways, as you can see, this does trend down for the next few months, actually, from basically March all the way to July, in fact. And this was within the context of essentially a bounce back up into range. We kind of just can't, if you just got rid of coronavirus sometimes right here, you could just look at the 200 simple and 200 exponential average, kind of getting the average of those prices. Obviously, that's what they do. But things revert back around there, and it's really not till we get back down to like very, very low volatility where Bitcoin really starts to threaten that macro move. As the macro move, as we identified it, was that move above about $11,500. That's when we started to say, all right, this is you look for shorts at your own peril. If you're holding long-term trades, only short-term is that even viable right now? And that I would still stick by that, actually. Anyways, As you can see right now, we are getting pretty fucking close to that. We obviously have crossed this, yes, but that's not everything that we want to be seeing. We want to see this get a negative slope. We still have a positive slope on this one. It's getting close, yes, but still a little bit of patience is required. Anyways, as this comes down, I want to be looking for this to go all the way down, preferably, well, at the very least below 50 percentile, but the lower the better. Think of it as like a, I don't know, think of it as like a spring getting wound and wound and wound and wound and wound up. The more that it winds itself up, the more and more potential force that it can have on the other side. Kind of. It doesn't always work like that, but I typically see it work out like that in my experience. So I'll just kind of say it bluntly there. Anyways, the third and final one, and the most important one, until this happens, there is no fucking talk about a goddamn major low or macro low, whatever the hell you're looking at right here. Until this happens, want to see a goddamn uptrend on at the very least a daily. Could you go to lower term timeframes to kind of judge this run right now? I mean, you could maybe to like a 12-hour, but let's see what the 12-hour looks like right here. Well, the problem is that I wouldn't even really be looking at any sort of major rips to the upside as long as it's below about 4,100, and that technically is not a, well, that's our last lower high right here, and that's about just below 40,000 bucks. It's pretty fucking close. I'd still stick with it daily, to be honest with you. This level right here, basically around the 200 simple and 200 exponential average, which are not doing good things right now. I just say that bluntly as well. But hey, again, give it a chance here. Give it a chance because we do see some signals of accumulation, especially below about 34,000 bucks, or if you just want to make it easy, 35,000 bucks. Just cut it nice and dry right there. Anyways, as it stands right now, where's our current low? Our current low is at about just below 35,000 bucks right here. So if Bitcoin does want to come down and make a lower low, obviously that would be bad. But what would constitute a reversal here? We need to see a higher low and a higher high. So again, if we are specifically on the daily, how do we identify this right here? Well, remember, it was the same thing to the downside. We got bearish off this move right here, or sorry, not this move right here, but remember when it came down from about 63 all the way to 50,000 bucks. The reason why we got bearish there is because that was the first time Bitcoin actually took out its last higher lows. This is really fucking simple stuff, but it's so fucking powerful, and I want you just kind of demonstrate that in like somewhat of a younger asset like Bitcoin, as those can be just really easy ways. Yes, it does require some time, as after this part was hit right here, we said, hey, okay, we got our first lower low. Now is the time to be very defensive on this price action. I'm not necessarily like full on bullish. I want to see if there's going to be a lower high. And guess what? We got a lower high exactly fucking right smack dab, as if it was telegraphed from goddamn space around the 618. Classic shit right there. That is typically your bull trap, so to speak. Anyways, as it stands right now, we could be looking at something too down around here, but we'll get to that in a second. Believe me, I'm going to talk about a lot of bearish things in the in the video to come. But looking at it right here, I'd still give it a chance. And as it stands right now, this would be your current low. So if Bitcoin does start to dip a little bit below that, we will have new lows, and then that just kind of sets the criteria back another few hundred or maybe a few thousand bucks for looking for a higher low. But personally speaking, I actually do think that Bitcoin will grind this area out a little bit, and I'd still give it a chance here. I always go with the macro trend, and the macro trend is the weekly, and the weekly is technically still in an uptrend, although we're pretty fucking close to taking out that last lower low. That would do it for me at that point, because all the time frames below weekly are downtrending, and quite heftily as well. All the time frames that matter, I'm sure, like the 5 minutes in an uptrend right now. Anyways, going back to the daily right and over here. So if you are going off this low right here, then obviously you kind of want to see things try to for a higher low right here. Could that happen? It could happen. How would it reasonably look like if this is going to happen? Well, you're going to want to see Bitcoin close basically either here or higher by end of day. And then you want to see tomorrow take out the high of this current daily dildo. And then you could look at this as, a very aggressive higher low. Do I think that that's what's going to happen here? I don't know. I don't even need to put my stupid opinion on it. Now, the next major piece that I'd be looking for is just, again, that $40,000 or $41,000 pivot right here, also synonymous with the 200 simple, 200 exponential average, and the 21 is all kind of coming down there around that region as well. So as long as Bitcoin's below there, there's really no talk, there's really no threat of any like prolonged upside move. The second that Bitcoin does go above, let's call it like 41, maybe 41.5, or especially this wick right here, which is about 43,000 bucks. Depending upon whether you're using wicks or closures, I think both would work in this case. I would actually be looking for a nice rip to the upside, probably 5,000, maybe 7,000 bucks. But then we get to play the same game as before, because remember, Bitcoin will still be operating on lower highs now, wouldn't it? And if it's operating on lower highs, I guess I already did it over here. Haha. Well, let's just take another bearish retracement on this one. And where's your 618 coming in around about 51,000 bucks? That's if I'm using closures, I believe. Oh, no, it's not actually. Let's use closures right here. That'd actually be currently 52.5 on the 618 and the 0.5 about 49. Usually you see your bull trap somewhere between these two right here. But this is, of course, assuming that this is going to be the current low. I do think it's very possible Bitcoin could actually come down and maybe base around 32,000 bucks. That's kind of my line in the sand for getting more bearish, looking for, a continuation of the downside over a long period of time. And, you can probably kiss this market goodbye for, I don't know, half a year to a year after that, maybe longer. It would take some time to unfuck itself. It would take a drastic amount of time to unfuck itself, I'd imagine. Remember, to put things in perspective, we went basically, realistically, from coronavirus dump time to where we're at right now, we put in just a full melt to the upside, almost 1,200%, and realistically breaking the macro structure right here, which is about 12,000 bucks to where we're at right now too. 450% move as well. I know that people like to take things from the prior to mind. They're like, this is only a 3x, man. It's only a 3x, man. I'm still fucking poor. Bitcoin owes me more. Like, no. Actually, no, it doesn't. Actually, it doesn't, which is kind of funny. But if I'm giving my full and unadulterated opinion on this right now, which I am, I think actually Bitcoin will give it a chance to bottom out here. I think it's going to take some time. I think it looks probably something like this if it does happen, and you can probably expect something relatively similar to like a Wyckoff accumulation event right here. Now, this is becoming like a meme within this market, which I fucking hate, man. I absolutely fucking hate that. Like everything good, everything good becomes a fucking meme. Funding rates, put call ratios, Wyckoff, motherfucker, man. Like, how dare you? How fucking dare you? But this is the problem, because we have a lot of marketers within this space who are just looking for, like the next fucking O-face thing to do, which is fair enough. That's their business model, but it can be a bit deceiving in my opinion. So, to each their own, obviously. And again, I'm not throwing shit at anyone particular in this space. I'm actually friends with most of the guys. In general, and actually stand by it. I actually like truly like enjoy their presence in general. But looking at this right here, man, this is still certainly under pressure right now. So let me now. Okay, so now we've gotten through all of the fun stuff. I think we can just wrap that piece up right there. Let's see, we're already about 20 minutes into this bitch. And going back to the Wyckoff over here, we are somewhat following this right now, to be fair. And it is relevant to be thinking that after a very obvious Wyckoff distribution top, like we saw right here, we're probably going to get a Wyckoff accumulation bottom. I mean, it's whoever is the market operator right now, there's probably multiple people, but ultimately, they're going to probably do some similar sort of reaccumulation if and when they do decide. The question is, where does it happen? I'm not necessarily like saying that Bitcoin's going to go back down to like $0 or something. I mean, fucking BitConnect still trades, for the love of God, right? And that one has like open litigations against it. But whether it comes, in the low $30,000 region, whether it comes maybe low $20,000 region, that's really the question for me right now. And so what I want to do now is do we want to go through the short-term timeframes, or do we want to show you a bunch of shit that's going to scare the absolute bejesus out of you? Oh, let's do one more bullish thing too. All right, get your fucking bull boners out over here. We do have on the BLX index going with this Bitcoin investor. No, it's a Bitcoin log curve. By the way, Hamilton actually gave me a cool little tool with this too, which I need to try out. Shout out to him, man. But I actually won't be using it on this video because I haven't tested it just yet. Just kind of perusing around. But looking at it right here, I mean, it is kind of weird. I really like to push back on shit like this, but it is kind of difficult to, it's kind of difficult to poo-poo this idea right here, just because we do see that all of these zones, the green, yellow, and red, actually do play with price action relatively well, getting extremes on the red. Obviously, yellow seems to be like your midline consolidation during market cycles, and the green, traditionally has been a pretty damn good, accumulation zone, except for this little one over here. So it can certainly trade outside of it. Obviously, this is certainly not the first thing that I'd be looking at, to be honest with you. I'm just trying to balance out my analysis right now, because I feel like people are going to be pretty mad with the way that this video might end. Anyways, looking at this right here, yes, it actually has been pretty damn consistent. And for what it's worth right now, I do still think that we're doing something relatively similar to 2013 over here as we're doing over here. We're kind of in the midst of a cycle after, a pretty good accumulation phase over a couple of years, or 2-3 years. And while Bitcoin did go absolutely fucking parabolic right here, in fact, I'm curious how much of this one went. On a closing basis, 1,100%. That's rather interesting now, isn't it? Remember, from lows to where we're at right now, that's about 1100%. That's actually really fucking weird. Now, I did take that on a closing basis, not on wick basis, because, well, you can't fucking trust these wicks in this extremely illiquid market, especially going back to 2013, where it's even more liquid than it is now. It's like, you think this is bad? Fucking hell, man. Yeah, people just getting impaled left, right, and center on this popsicle stick right there. Anyways, so as it stands right now, as long as Bitcoin does essentially hold that yellow region, could we expect something relatively similar to this? I mean, we actually did get we got no opens and closures below, it looks like, or maybe this one right here, actually. Wait, let's see, where did we open? Open 97.48, let's see. We actually might have done it right there, to be fair, but just hanging around that area, just in general, seems to be somewhat okay. It's not perfect, nothing's fucking perfect, but you do see that once it started breaking over here, go fuck yourself, right? Anyways, looking at this right here, still holding in there, so I give it a chance until told otherwise. And keep in mind that CMEs have already closed for not just the weekly but also the monthly, and we can look at this over here, and this is technically speaking, or let's maybe go over here for now. This is technically speaking, as if you are a dildo aficionado, which I'm not a humongous fan of it in cryptocurrency land, except for on higher term timeframes, which this would admittedly be. But what do we see? We see an inverted hammer dildo right here, and that is technically a bit of a bottoming signal if you are simply just looking at it from, a formation perspective. Again, not my first way of doing things, or definitely not my preferred way of doing things, but interesting nonetheless. And you can use this now as a basing point to kind of get that next sort of medium-term upthrust move, which would be basically just using the high of this. So how does this get confirmed as a local low right here? The only way that it does is if we take out the high of it in the following week, and that right now, that's right around 40,895. So reasonable. I mean, Bitcoin's kind of hanging around there right now, but ultimately, if I could give you one good thing, that would be it. And then also this too, if we go back, and I'm using spot price action now just because I want to see more iterations on this, and CME only has a few years of history. Anytime that Bitcoin on the weekly has tested the bottom side Toronto band, that has been not necessarily like the cycle low, but it pretty much always has been like a pretty nice rally, similar to what you see over here. Bases on there, boom, 30% move to the upside on some China news. By the way, if you're new here, China's been doing this for a while, man. Oh, we ban a Bitcoin now, it work again. It's like, what the fuck, man? It's like the South Park skit every goddamn time. It's fucking great. Anyways, look, hey, if you took offense to that very bizarre tone right there, look, it's done out of respect. And why? If you could answer me this, why? If I do an English accent like this, mate, why is that not any issue for anyone out there? Why is that okay? Like, what the fuck, man? Anyways, Jesus Christ. All right, it's the fucking internet. All right, making a goddamn joke in poor taste. Anyways, anytime that we have seen the bottom side Toronto band get tested on these pretty volatile movements, at the very least, it's been, a nice rally off those regions, typically to the tune of about 30% or so, which we've already got, to be fair. So maybe not so good after all. But ultimately, this is within the context of an uptrend. So, it could be looked at similar to this over here, which was in the context of an uptrend. And yet again, 2013 rearing its beautiful head over here, depending upon how sick and twisted you are. But, similar price action right there as well. So realistically, the best thing, in my opinion, for Bitcoin right now, if you want to be long-term bullish, is I want to see this area just kind of cradle out the lows, take its time, just take its little dildo time, maybe give a few more tests down to like low $30,000. But ultimately, the longer that it can just spend going sideways here, in my opinion, the better. Bears really want to take over control like as soon as possible. Let's go through the lower term timeframes really quickly here too. Let's get somewhat of a bias right here. Bitcoin obviously downtrending on 4 hour right now. Targets from yesterday are hit. Would I extend targets to the downside? I think Bitcoin could very easily come down to like 33 or 32,000 bucks. That's certainly not out of the question, man. I don't have any strong proclivities towards that. Do we have a 12-hour local low? If you're very aggressive in looking at these things, you could say that yes, but I'd want to see a closure above the high of the last 12 hour, which is what? 37,302 spot 22. If that can happen, that would look good to me. And right now, we're kind of around there. So perhaps it does happen on the next 12 hour, but ultimately, on the 12 hour, we are just downtrending right now as it is. And to be fair, if you're bearish, you're not looking at this as a Wyckoff accumulation, you're looking at this as a redistribution, which is also a part of the Wyckoff ideology and typically comes in the form of a descending triangle, a redistribution pattern after putting in the Wyckoff distribution top. And we can make targets for that if that does play out. This also implies, by the way, this whole formation and this whole ideology right here of a redistribution would be completely fucking negated if Bitcoin does pop back above this region right here and essentially creates a higher high above this last 4 hour and 12 hour high, I believe. which is about 40,000 bucks. Now, if this does happen, well, get your fucking red dildos ready, because this one's coming down below 30,000 bucks. Next reasonable target would be probably somewhere around like 29 or 28.5, and then I'd be looking for continuation overall. Remember, the weekly trend is your friend, and the weekly trend still holding that uptrend right now. But the second that we close below 32,000 bucks, no bueno, sirs. So no bueno, sirs and sirs, as that very likely will get continuation down to about 25,000 bucks. And personally speaking, I would think beyond as well. Now Bitcoin came down to the 200 exponential average. That would be great for a long-term investor perspective, but maybe we don't talk about that right now. Don't need to scare the shit out of people. Okay, another big thing that I want to be, or actually no, let's get through the lower term timeframes a little bit more here. Okay, 12-hour momentum actually turning down as long as we're below about 38,100. Keep that number in mind, because it will, well, this one does actually seem to have some merit here, seen as a 12-hour still following that long-term trend line, going in from our last failed rally in early May, actually, which was way the fuck back on over here, actually. Bitcoin was only a mere 30,000 bucks higher than where it is, or sorry, 20,000 bucks higher than where it is right now. Interesting nonetheless, again. Anyways, go through the lower term time frames, or let's just kind of peruse down here. 10 hours still down, but I wouldn't say that this is like super problematic right here. I mean, it's going to remain to the downside as long as below 39,696, it looks like. But ultimately, that is relevant. All right, I'll just leave it as it is. What about 6 hour? 6 hours already down, way the fuck low here, but it can always go lower, bro. As you know, 36,150 is the magical number, so it looks, relatively likely to actually cross up in the next tick. 4 hour, which, by the way, how soon are we closing this? Okay, about 2 hours left to go. 4 hour actually looks like it wants to rally a little bit here, and that will be happening. That will officially be crossing the upside as long as we're above 35,100. 3 hour. 35,660 is magical number. Bi-hourly is 35,000, and hourly is about 36,375. So it does look like Bitcoin could put in a rally here. I mean, Bitcoin, if it could pop up to 39,000 bucks, no problem, no fucking problem right now. But remember, that is just a lower high on a time frames that matter. So at the end of the day, as long Bitcoin could again just basically rally up to the 21 on the 12-hour right here and still remain within that that downtrend perspective. So I really need to see a closure above this region. On preferably a medium or higher term time frame in order for me to be like, okay, this is actually looking good for another at least another few $1,000 rally to mid or deeper 40,000 bucks. Again, keep your eyes on these over here, because these are your proverbial trappy areas. But it'd give a little bit of hope in the short term, and it'd be nice to see Bitcoin show a little bit of life. Problem is though, well, no, we won't get into that. All right, so we got through the lower term timeframes. I'm curious what they look like on this chart as well. 4 hour TSI turning down, but it looks like it's kind of curling around right there. It won't be crossing the upside anytime soon, but it is showing that same pivot right around 40,000 bucks. So again, big one right there. 3 hour looks like it's catching a little bit of a lift off right here, as that does follow the trend line. 37,680 is the magical number right there. Bi-hourly is basically the same thing, but the magical number is 35,800, and hourly is about 34.3. So it does look like Bitcoin wants to put in a bit of a short-term rally right here. You might even call this an inverted head and shoulders right here, and I'm sure the target's probably gonna be somewhere around like 38.5 or maybe 39,000 bucks. So definitely possible, over the weekend. But realistically, we're looking for June. We're looking for June, and we're preparing for June right now. And the other big thing I'd be looking for in June, I almost forgot this one, the accumulation distribution indicator over here, the net delta indicator, as we do come closer and closer to the end of the month, which we still got another couple days in the trading month left to go. If this flattens out or gets a negative slope coming into next month, I will be bearish. I will be looking for Bitcoin to break 30,000 bucks. I will be looking in the mid to low 20s. Maybe even lower than that over time. If Bitcoin does either have a neutral or slightly ups, or especially if it has an upward slope, I would remain long-term bullish. I would look at this as an accumulation phase right here, and I look at this as a major potential opportunity. By the way, here's what CME's monthly looks like, just so you know. Really good looking right there. Really fucking good looking right there. Jokes, sir. But again, could this reasonably be it? I mean, as long as Bitcoin again does not break that weekly low, I think at least personally speaking, as a trader, I still go with that as my main idea, I suppose. Even though even though things could get a little bit crazier, right? All right, sweet. So now that we've spoken about that, we're about 33 minutes into this bitch. I want to show you one other thing. Yeah, it's kind of a big thing right here too. We're going to go to the bi-weekly. I typically don't look at it. And to be fair, the bi-weekly is not closing this week. So this is not going to be decided this weekend. It's going to be decided next week on the 7th of June. What have we seen in the past that is extremely concerning with this price action? All right, I'll give you the McDonald's indicator right here. Look, I've poo-pooed the McDonald's indicator plenty of times in the past, but I'm wrong about it. I'm completely fucking wrong about it. It's decent. It's pretty damn good for long-term momentum, and especially on a higher term time frame like this, it's very difficult to ignore all of these signals that we have seen, which have basically been macro cycles. Okay, so let's go over the last few crosses that we've seen here. Let's see, we saw the last upwards cross. This was May 2020. That was right fucking here. Basically all the way from 8,500 to just over 60,000 bucks. Not bad. Okay, well, let's backtest a little bit more. Where's our last downside cross? 28th of October, 2019. That was right here on the failed China rally, whatever the fuck. And Bitcoin eventually, I mean, it did pop back up, but this was just, you know, another lower high, we might say, and comes all the way down for that drastic 70% pullback, right? Pullback all the way to your fucking Angus. What do we have what do we have before that? We did see the upwards cross right here. That was April 2019. I remember this one. Do you remember this one? That was on the move from 4,000 to 14,000. Not bad, you might say. And then where was the last cross to the downside before that? That would be 26th of February 2018, which was right fucking here on this failed, well, which looks really fucking similar to what we're doing right now. Hits a 20 simple, gets a failed rally attempt, jitters upon it for a little bit of time, bull trap, boom, down for the next year. So I would say that with Bitcoin already, well, I mean, it will inevitably cross the downside with any sort of a closure on next June 7th. Again, not this weekend, not tomorrow, but June 7th, below, and credit to Caretaker on this one as well, below 42,186. So again, we're seeing that low $40,000 number pop up in multiple places. If that does get taken out to the upside, this just magically disappears, and we can all forget about this nasty MACD momentum to the downside. And should we backtest a little bit more? Yeah, we can backtest a little bit more. Let's just see if the other crosses have worked well, because there's really not all that many. But we got June 2015, and then we got this baby over here in March 2014. So June 2015, that'd be right around here, wouldn't it? Yeah. Somewhere around here on these major lows, and then the cross to the downside before that was literally right fucking here again on that failed rally attempt, aka the bull trap. So you know, there's definitely puzzle pieces in place on both sides here, but that's essentially how I'd be looking at it right now. You know, I still think that if you are looking for the mega position, it's still, at least in my opinion, a little bit of a waiting game right now. I think that there are several signs that Bitcoin is trying to put in a low at this low $30,000 region, but I really would not mind another move down, even a closure down at 32,000 bucks, get everyone really fucking scared, and then run it back up the other way really fucking quickly. If you see something like that happen, that is going to be very obvious signals of professional accumulation. We don't see it just yet, however, so I should denote that as well. Anyways, yeah, I think we'll end it off right there. It's been a pleasure speaking with you in this very one-sided conversation for the last 37 minutes. Apologies for talking your ear off, but I would like to wish you the best and the happiest. Take care, and oh yeah, that's right. We have a sale going on. We do have a sale going on for all of the programs, everything that we do offer. And I just want to say, look, if you are interested in any one of these programs, please do yourself a favor, watch the videos that accompany them. Watch the videos that accompany them, because they're going to explain who they're for, who they're not for, and you can get a good idea if this is even relevant to you. I always say this, please make sure, if you're thinking of getting one of the more expensive programs, make sure you have taken advantage of the free content on this channel first, the TA 101 playlist, the psychology playlist. Those sorts of things are going to, well, they're just going to prepare you in general, but they're going to give you a good insight as to, like, okay, do I actually want to fucking do this or not? Because most people don't want to do this, and that's fair enough. I mean, I don't blame you. I don't fucking blame you. You know, I'm losing my hair already, so there's proof enough, right? So my point is that, you know, make sure that you watch the videos. I won't go through the full rigmarole and explanation on all of them, but they're there for you so that we can make sure that, you know, it's a good fit, because it's really, you know, it's just annoying for everyone if you know, you get in and it's like, you know, everyone kind of, you know, invests their time in you, and then you're like, oh, I don't want to actually do this, and it's like, oh shit, we just wasted a fucking shit ton of time now. Anyways, leave it off on a sour note right there. Anyways, again, wishing you well from a bright and sunny Helsinki, Finland. I am hungry as fuck, so I'm gonna go eat. Take care, and see you hopefully soon.